Hi everybody, my name is Amy and I live in Bear, Delaware. And after doing some research on my community, I have determined that it's a pretty good one. We're located in New Castle County, and that picture on the left there is a photo of some people canoeing at the Lums Pond State Park. Briefly, Bear is not a town, it's not a city. It's what's called a census designated place, which I had never heard of until I moved here in 2014. A census designated place is a place that physically exists but doesn't have any form of formal government. We don't have a mayor. There's no physical city hall. We don't. It's we're a physical place, but we don't have any governing bodies. Bear is part of New Castle County, which I had just mentioned, but we kind of we're just kind of here. We're like a blip on the map. It's pretty small, as you can see. We're 5.7 miles wide. And as of 2014, just about 20,000 people have lived here. So we are surrounded by the city of Newark, and that's pretty much to the north, the west, and the east. A little bit northeast is New Castle, and then to the south is Glasgow and the Maryland border. I think this map kind of puts Bear into context. It looks a little bit more busy than the previous map. So Bear is a small little community of developments. There are some larger apartment complexes, and there are some single homes that are on rural highways. We don't have a lot of street lights in Bear. It's pretty country out here. As you can see, there's the major highways are Route 1 and Route 40. And Route 1 connects to 95, but 95 isn't really in Bear itself. It's right on the edge there at the tip. So all those little squigglies that you see there, those are little streets that are within the actual developments themselves. So you can see over here where it says Raintree Village or Wellington Woods, those would be the names of the developments where individual houses are. Kind of compares to a big city where you would say this is a neighborhood. I live all the way south down here in Hickory Woods. So who lives in Bear? Well, according to the statistics, Bear is about 53% white and 37% of African American or Black. There's just under 15% Latino population here, and a very, very small population of Asians, just about 4%. There's not a big biracial population in Bear, just about 2.5%. And we have, if you look at the numbers, the actual physical numbers of people, there's 33 American Indians living in Bear, which actually, when it stands by itself, that seems like a lot of American Indians for this area. I guess looking at the statistics is a little bit shocking, only because I live in a family that has 3 races in one roof. So we just don't really look at race too much in our house. So to look at statistics and say, oh, there's 53% of this and 40% of that and 14% of this, it doesn't really come up too much in our house itself. But I would like to add that we feel very comfortable in our community of Bear, being an interracial family. Demographics, the median age range in Bear is 34.1, and the median, just for comparison purposes, the median age in Delaware is 39. There's 52% females and 47% males. And the age of the population, there's just about 5,000 kids in Bear, and between 18 and 64, that would be considered working population. There's just about 13,000 people, and 65 or older, there's a really small population of just under 1,500 people. Some quality of life statistics, education-wise, the attainment, based on a survey of 25-year-olds, less than a high school diploma, 1,700 people. High school diploma, including GED, was just over 4,000. Associate's degree or some college was just about 3,700, and bachelor's degree or higher was only 3,100 of the total 12,700 people over 25. I think that's pretty low. Workforce stats, people working full-time in Bear in the last year, 7,245 of the total population here. And part-time or working part of the year last year was 3,678. Not working at all was as high as 4,359 people. That's a lot of people for considering we're only 5 miles wide. That actually leads me to my next slide, quality of life statistics with regard to poverty. The poverty rate in Bear, 16.3% of residents in 2013 in Bear were actually living below the poverty level. I think that's really high. Out of that 16.3%, 10.8 were white, 15.9 were black, 15.2 of that were Asian, and as high as 20.3 were Latino. I think those statistics really say a lot about what's going on in Bear in terms of poverty. Income below 50% of the poverty level was 5.4% in Bear. The rental rate in Bear among poor residents living below the poverty level is 46.8%. So just about half the people living below poverty level in Bear are living in the apartments that are here. And I felt it was very important to mention, just because of social work and poverty is such an important component for us. In New Castle County, the child poverty rate is 14%. That compares to, it is the lowest in the state. Sussex is 22.9 and Kent is 19.9. Delaware is a small state, so I feel like although Bear is a community that stands on its own, as all communities do, we're very much close-knit and interrelated to the communities that are around us and the state as a whole because we are so small. And in the city of Wilmington, the poverty rate is almost 34%. That's astronomical. So we're only 11 miles from Wilmington, so I would say that's part of our community as well. The biggest problem in terms of crime in Bear is property crime. It's really high. It's higher than the state average. And I looked at statistics from 2014, 2013, and 2012, and they were relatively steady in terms of what I've listed here. There haven't been any murders in Bear. There haven't been any forcible rapes. Aggravated assault and robbery totaled 5. Burglary was 3. Larceny, theft, 28. And auto theft, 2. But again, that property crime was really high. And we also are in such close proximity to Newark and New Castle that those crimes that occur in those communities are really close to us and can be considered part of our quality of life. According to, there was some research that I did on some Delaware state lists. There's actually 24 registered sex offenders in Bear, which again is only 5.74 miles wide. And that's accurate as of today. So that means for every 807 people in Bear, there's one registered sex offender. That's actually smaller than the state average, but it's still a lot. And I actually looked at a map on citydata.com and could see how close the sex offenders were to my house, which is pretty close. Here's just a quick snapshot of some formal institutions in Bexar, some schools. There's a Christian academy, a Catholic school. We have 2 school districts that serve Bexar. We also have University of Delaware in Newark, which is only 6 miles away. Wilmington University is in Newcastle. Again, that's roughly 5-6 miles from here. And the Delaware Technical Community College is also in Newcastle, which is very close. Bexar also, for its small size, has a wealth of banks, credit card companies, and a wealth of trust companies. We're so close to Wilmington, which is just about 11 miles from Bexar, that we have access to all this great financial institutions. And this picture here on the right is just a quick snapshot of the Fox Run Shopping Center, which is located in Bexar. And in that shopping center alone, there's about 4 or 5 different banks in one shopping center. And it's just important to mention that more than 50% of all U.S. publicly traded companies and 63% of Fortune 500 companies are incorporated in the state of Delaware. So that's important for our economy, and certainly that does trickle down to the Bexar community. We also have many churches in this small area of Bexar. These are just some of them. We have Red Lion UMC, Ministries for Christ, Christ Celebration Center, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, the Good Shepherd Baptist Church, Cornerstone Ministries, Ultimate Praise Ministries. We also have innumerable employers in education, aircraft, environmental protection companies, and healthcare right here at our doorstep in Bexar. Again, since Bexar is an unincorporated census-designated place, we don't have a formal government, but we do have a senator for Bexar, and we also have 2 House of Representatives for our Bexar. We have Valerie Longhurst and Melanie George Smith, who we share with Newark. Informal institutions in Bexar include the Lumps Pond State Park, Bexar Babe Ruth the Bexar Babe Ruth Baseball League, Sunset Stable, Horse Farm and Camp, community homeowners associations, various PTA groups, and many churches. A major environmental risk to Bexar is the Valero oil refinery in Delaware City. This oil refinery refines crude oil into automobile oil, home heating oil, and other petroleum products. It's situated about 8 miles from Bexar, and the oil tankers run through Bexar by way of train. This is a picture of Leroy Bailey outside of his home in Bexar, Delaware, where crude oil trains actually run past his yard daily. Train traffic since 2015 has been up 70% to the Valero factory in Delaware City, and this is probably the biggest community concern in Bexar right now. Why do I say Bexar is a good community? Overall, it is a safe place to live, despite the Valero issue, the property crime. The community is taking action. They're working together to see what can be done about actually reducing that oil traffic. The police are responsive to property crime and safety. There are a visible presence in the community. There are plenty of access to goods and services, supermarkets, shopping centers, banks, you name it, we do have access to it in Bexar. The neighbors do provide relationships to one another that are binding. There is commonality of values and goals that help residents pull together by way of the churches and different community baseball leagues and things like that. Members of the community, on the whole, are treated as whole persons. Day-to-day relationships among members are highly predictable. The kids have the same teachers, they have the same school bus driver, we know our cashiers at the supermarket, things like that. Members do have a recognized place in the social structure. We know who our neighbors are, we know their personalities. There's definitely sufficient opportunity for growth and fulfillment based on the employers and the schools, the universities that are here. My one criticism is the lack of heterogeneity in the community.